Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Good, good, good. Good, 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 good. It is, what day is this? Friday. Good Lord, it's Friday. The year's almost over, guys. We've been complaining about 2025 for so long now that it's almost 2026. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Um, so, what I wanted to do today, um, and we'll figure out how to do this. Um, yeah, we'll figure out how to do this in a little bit. Um, we're going to, if you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and ask them in the chat. I have a couple questions that I want to go over that people have been like in correspondence through email and stuff, have been hitting me up with. So we're going to be going over those things. And then I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about what I feel this next year is going to bring. Um, and then when we finish with that, I will switch this over to a members stream and answer more questions about the like my own personal projects that are happening right now and give updates and stuff like that. So good, good, good. Um, but what I wanted to kind of go over today was I am getting more and more and more into the idea of submerging oneself into complete not knowing when we create things. And I was thinking about it, and every single thing I've done, I did better when I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like, a lot of you know, I've done a lot of things, and in the lots of things that I've done lots of things in those things. Um, and I don't think it's because of my talent. I don't think it's because of like what a great blah, blah, blah I am. I used to always say it was because I was too stupid to know not to do something. And um, I'm going to walk that back a little bit and just say it was more of an idea that I allowed myself to do things. I allowed myself the freedom to fail if that's what was going to happen. Um, Again, that was not ever thought out. It was just what it was. You know what I'm saying? So, examples. It's example time. Um, when I was quite young, um, Caitlin, what's up? Old enough to know better, young enough not to care. Yeah, but like I feel like I'm too old to be young enough not to care. Maybe that's not the case anymore. But anyway, so let's go through this and let me just try to illustrate it a little bit for you. Um, so when I was in high school, um, I wanted to be in a band. And um, for those of you who were ever in bands in high school, you will know that they're usually quite short lived. Like you'll have like maybe three practices, write a couple songs, play a bunch of covers, and then somebody doesn't get good grades and they can't play anymore or something like that. Like whatever the reason being. But anyway, so I wanted to be in a band. So I started a band and I wanted to start playing shows. But, getting in like, being a young kid, being in, like, it's hard to get shows at bars and clubs when you're in high school. Not impossible, but it's hard. So I would have to put on my own shows. And in order to make the shows happen, um, and get as many people there as possible so that the venue would want to ask you back, it's really good to like have enough bands on a show to get enough people through the door, to make the venue happy, to have the show like be successful, that all the people came. There was a lot of stuff for them to listen to, blah, 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 blah. Um, but I didn't know that many bands, but I did know like a lot of people who play guitar. So I would start another band with certain guitar player, and I'm like, well, I'll play drums for you. If you could find a bass player, we'll do a three piece, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then that would work. So now I had two bands. And so I sang in one band, played bass in another band, played guitar in another band, played drums in like three bands. For those of you who ever want to start being a musician, just learn how to play drums and get a drum kit, because you'll always find people to play with. But anyway, so I started putting all these bands together just so I could have like a full show when we started playing shows. And then in doing that, I was like writing songs with a lot of these people and doing all this stuff. And I'm like, and I started seeing how many people were coming to the shows we were doing. And I'm like, oh man, like I should like make a zine, and interview all the bands that I'm in. It was so stupid. And so I started doing that. And then I got a 4-track recorder with like the money I was making from putting on the shows. And then I started recording the bands I was in, and putting out little tapes, like cassette tapes, um, and selling those at the shows and selling the zines at the shows. And because it was like punk music and all that shit, I started seeing things that people were wearing at the shows, and I was like always making my own clothes and like making my own jewelry, like studded bracelets, and like sewing like leopard print onto the collars of my shirts and all this other stuff. So then I started making like accessories, like stuff like that, that I would also sell at the shows. So by the time I was in high school, I had a record label. I was managing a bunch of bands that I was in, and I was publishing my zine and selling studded bracelets and studded belts and stuff. So, like, things were pretty good. How did you have time for school? I'm one of those lucky people that I'm. I learn things audibly, and I would go to class and sometimes sleep, sometimes fuck off, but I would be at class. And honestly, going to school was how I was selling all my stuff. So if I didn't go to school, I was like losing out on money. Like I would sell demo tapes out of my backpack and shit, and my zines and stuff. And in fact, once I can't remember what grade it was, it might have been 10th grade. I got into the art class there, and my art was so perverse that my art teacher finally said, "Hey, if you quit making all these paintings of penises smoking cigarettes and stuff, I'll let you just go into the silk screen room and you can just fuck around on the silk screen." So all the band shirts, the record label shirts, and all that stuff I made in my art class. um, I would go to T-shirt warehouse and get like 5 shirts for $10, and sell them for $10 at the shows and stuff. Anyway, yeah, I was a fun kid. But anyway, so I would go to school and just kind of like sleep or just sit there. take my tests and get like 100 on my tests because I would retain all the shit that people said, but I didn't do any homework. So I basically got C's in all my classes. And it wasn't until my senior year of high school. And I ended up doing like 4 hours of homework that year. And that's all the homework I did all of high school. But anyway, that's besides the point. But the idea here is that I didn't know what I was doing. Like there was no like rule book, like thing like going, this is how to get things done. It was like I wanted to do something. I started doing it. And then as you start doing something, you realize there's other things you can do. And then you start doing those other things. And now all the stuff I'm talking about here, it will make sense in a minute here, like to the overall story. So that was how I made money through high school and college. And then after I quit going to school, because I quit going to school because I was in a band that started actually like touring the country and stuff. So that was way more fun than going to college. So that's how that worked. And then having a record label at that point, and we're going across the country, we're playing with bands all over. Um, Doing zines back and forth and demo tapes, like you start getting your stuff in other people's zines. And it was just the DIY kind of punk culture was really cool. And it's so much easier now to have somebody in like Nantucket know who the hell you are. But it seems like people don't care as much because it's not hard to find. Like, back in the day, people had to search for things, and so when they found stuff, it was like gold to them. Now it's like I could just open Instagram and see like 80 people within 3 minutes of scrolling. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so, when, the record label got bigger, it was a different label at this point, but anyway, when it got bigger and we were, like, putting out CDs and stuff, um, the idea was, "Oh, we have to get into stores across the country, like, we're getting bigger than just selling stuff to people, like, right here." So I started doing like courting distributors, like trying to get them to buy all of our stock and then they sell it to retailers and stuff. And then we ended up getting with this company that did that stuff. And they also not only distributed music, but they distributed um, film, like DVDs and stuff. And they hadn't started, distributing music yet, like, my label was the first, like, record label they picked up, and just because of synergy, like, they're like, "Hey, would you want to start putting your band's music on in our movies?" Like, so we could do some, like, cross promotion and stuff. I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like a great idea." So that happened. Then, I started making music videos, and the distributor was like, "Hey, would you want to make a DVD of all the music videos that you've been making for all the bands on your label?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that." And so started doing that. And then it was like, "Hey, do any of your musicians and any of the bands act? Like we could put them in some of the movies we're making." And so that was like an easy, like tell some guy in a band, "Hey, do you want to be in a movie?" They're like, "Woo," and they jump at it. But then they finally just said, like, "Hey, do you want to just make a movie for us? Like, do you think you can do it in like a week or like just do something that's an already existing property?" And that's when I made my Frankenstein movie. And, it was really easy. I made it in a weekend, and I was shocked because I always wanted to make movies, but I thought that was, like, too far away from anything I can do. And when I was like 18, hey, what's up? When I was 18, I wanted to like go to film school. And my parents were like, that's stupid. You can't get a job like working in film. So anyway, so I just never did it. I thought it was going to be too hard, and it ended up being pretty easy. And I enjoyed the process, and it was fun. So the whole idea about this is like filmmaking to me happened by accident because I was doing all these other things that I didn't really know how to do. And I just started falling into things. Okay. When we like trust the process of not knowing what the fuck we're doing, things happen, you know, and you have to just let those things go. Now, putting it into here, I ended up making a lot of movies, not because I was really good at what I was doing, but because like no one was stopping me. Like no one was like going like, don't do this, like this is a mistake or whatever. Like it was just I didn't go to film school. I didn't know like any of the terms of anything. Like I would have all these people like working for me who like went to film school and knew all these things, and they would ask me questions. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just put the camera close on that fucking guy. Like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I just started making because I don't know. I just did. So things started happening. And I did that for a long time. And then I got sick of it. I just got bored. And I've talked in other videos about the reasons why I kind of walked away when I did. And I just started writing novels, serialized fiction and stuff. And I had written a ton of short stories before. And I had written two novels that weren't very good before that, but I just did it because I didn't know what else to do. And so I just did it. And what I will say between 2012 and 2016, my serial writing and novel writing was just intense. I was just like writing stuff all the time. And especially with Black Star, like the funnest thing that can happen when you're writing a book is when you're just typing and the characters you earned your last name by knocking down every wall on your way. Thank you for saying that, yeah. I hope so. So, when I was writing Black Star, like, I had, like, the main beats, like, I knew how it was gonna end, I knew how it started, and for the main characters, I knew roughly what was going to happen. But there's a lot of side characters in it, and there's all sorts of dialogue from all these different kinds of characters. And when Black Star sings is when I really didn't know what was going to happen. And I just typed and let just me doing the thing do the thing. And then the characters started coming to life. And it's so exciting when like you're typing a character that you made and then suddenly that character starts like talking to you and you're like, oh, I didn't know that would like there would be times when I'm typing and I'm just like cracking up laughing because I couldn't believe that this guy said this thing. Or I'm typing and then I start bawling crying because like of the relationship between Jonathan and his daughter. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm just doing this whole thing. But it was never anything that I knew or planned. It just happened. After 2016, I started to try to um, like make a formula for how this works to like almost like reinvent the wheel that had been working for me very well for 4 years. And I started to like methodically try to figure everything out. When that started to happen, I kind of fell out of love with writing stories because like the fun was gone. I turned it into like assembly line, and it was like I had to know everything that was gonna happen, like everything, 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 and then that way, all I had to do was write 3,000 words a day, and everything's fine, right? But it took the art out of writing. It made that just fucking boring. And we're going to get into a little bit more of these things. But one of the things that hear from people when they ask me, like, how come this isn't working for me? How come this isn't working for me? I've been working on this novel for like 2 years and nothing's happening. A lot of times it's because the book's already written in your head. Like you've already written almost every single thing, or you've outlined it so extensively that the joy of writing that book is gone. Like like we, oh, I mean, a lot of us want to write books so we could like sell a bunch of books and like be a writer and be able to pay our bills with it and everything like that. But if you take the magic out of the practice of making the art, you're not going to want to do that thing. The wonderment, the joy is gone. You know, like how many of you want to watch a movie if a buddy of yours like spoiled the whole movie for you and told you every single thing that happened? Like I'm sure there's like 3 of you out there who are like, "No, I'll still watch it. I'm weird. I don't care if people spoil things for me." But a lot of us enjoy the journey and enjoy the mystery and enjoy the emotions that like rise up and down inside of us when we're like immersed in someone weaving a tale for us. And if we're like that with the things that we consume, we're going to be like that with the things that um, we make. And if we take all the fun out of making the thing, it's never going to bring us any kind of joy. Um, with painting, I always like every time, well, not every time, but most times when I paint something, I'll go, "Oh my God, I have this great idea. I want to paint this thing." And I'm like, it'll be like these colors and it'll look like this. Oh, this is going to be great. And I get down to the canvas and I start painting. And then it immediately starts going a completely different direction. Most of the paintings I do, when I'm done with them, never look anything like what I thought it was gonna look like when I started it. Like even let's see, like the black sand ones back there, when I initially was going to do those, they were gonna be white. They were gonna have black in them, but they were gonna like just have big explosions of white all over them. But as I was doing them, I'm like, "No, fuck that, I don't like that anymore. I'm gonna do it like this." You know what I'm saying? Like the David Lynch painting, like, was never supposed to, A, look like that, and B, be that. I was just painting, like, my emotion that I was feeling when I heard he died, you know what I'm saying? And then it turned into this completely other thing. And for making things and creating things, I feel like we need to allow ourselves the freedom to not know what the fuck we're doing. In fact, let me go back to Black Star for a minute here. One of the biggest fuck ups of my entire life artistically was going into Black Star knowing how Black Star was going to end. I was so hard on this is how it's going to end, and like there's nothing I can do about it. And a lot of the time I was writing it, it was going different places, and then I always kind of like brought it back and brought it back to where it had to go into this way because that's how I planned it. Now, at the end of the day, the books as they are fine, and I it's still like my favorite thing I've ever written as far as like a serial goes. But it could have gone on forever if I would have taken that idea and just kind of put it off and said, "Yeah, I don't care if we end up in this one place. We can just keep going and see where this goes." Over the years, I've figured out a way to still do both things, and so it's fine. But like, um, it killed a lot of the momentum for the serial by like, just being so stuck on this idea of how the ending was gonna be. Okay, let me get some things here. Have you ever written a story that surprised you as you were writing it because it went in its own direction without your intention? Absolutely. I talked about this before, um, and this is kinda weird, and this is where, my, my sanity comes into question. But I was writing this book, and in the book, um, and this was very early on in my writing. I was writing this book, and me as the narrator, like I became a character in the book. Like I was narrating the things that were happening, but I would do it in a way where it was like I was there and they couldn't see me. The characters couldn't see me. So instead of me just saying like, I don't know, like uh, the ground was hard and rough or whatever, like I would like touch the ground and rub my hands on it and explain it like that. And it was just one of these weird choices you make when you start writing something, right? Well, then as I was writing the second book in that series, um, there was this one scene, and I said that the character was going to do something, and then the character did something else. And I was like, "Oh, that was fucking weird." And your guys are going, "Well, you're writing it. Just write what the fuck it was doing." But, like, when I was writing it, like, when that happened, I was like, "Oh, that's a really interesting fucking twist." And then a little bit later, one of the characters, noticed me in the room, and, me as the writer, like the narrator, got scared. Like this crazy person just fucking saw me. Like no one's supposed to see me. This is like my story, you know? Blah, 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 blah. And so then I had this, and then it just got worse from there. And I lost control of my characters and they started doing it whatever the fuck they wanted. Then in the third book, I started writing it. And then I had an idea of how it would get to the end of it. And at the end of it, it was like um, I found that the main character who I had been writing about was actually writing a story about me. And he was the author, and I was just a character in his book. And we meet, and we realize that um, like in order to have no one control our destiny in our lives, that one of us would have to kill the other one, but then in killing the other one, would that mean our existence would end too? And it was just this weird thing, and it freaked me out so much I never finished the book, because I'm like, if I finish it and he kills me, I'm fucked. But then if I kill him, like does my whole existence just like cease? So, if you want to talk about writing a book that went a way that you did not expect at all, that would be that one. And I'm sure there's been plenty of things that have been like that, but that was the first time anything like that had happened to me. Um, Caitlin knows. Um, I wonder if God experiences the same with us. God's probably like, you know what? These freaking people, like, ugh. I tried, and they're just doing their own thing. I would love to write songs like that. That's such a anomalous process that breathes your unique life into your medium. Yeah, you can write songs like that, I would think. You would just I think most maybe not, but I think most songs are kinda written like that. Um, oh, and then going back to questions, um, there was a question that kinda dealt with that a little bit. Um, uh, it doesn't really deal with that. Bunny, what's up? Um, so one question that I get from a lot of people is how to just start doing the thing. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about a second ago. But a lot of you have a hard time getting ready to start creating something, whether it's writing a book, writing a song, painting something, whatever. Like to set the time aside to actually be able to do something seems to be like the big chore. And then you finally get there and you're like, fuck, I don't know what to do. And you just are staring at a blank canvas or staring at um, a blank computer screen, like just sitting there. And there, like, at least with writing, one thing I used to like teach anarchy crew people and stuff like that is just to have like a silly little phrase that you just write, like just type it out, the phrase, whatever it is. Um, uh, silly badger grass eater, like whatever. Just type that over and over and over again until your fingers are in rhythm and you get the rust off of them and you could just type and type and type and type and type. Because a lot of times just doing that first thing is the thing that makes everything so fucking hard. And if you want to draw or if you want to paint or if you want to like make something like that, just making like a mark on the page, just like sweeping the brush across and then looking at it and seeing how that makes you feel. And then doing the next thing. Like just do something and then watch how quickly you can just do other things. Don't worry about what you're making. Don't worry about what you're writing because you could always go back and delete all the stuff you wrote before. All the stuff you painted, you could paint over it. You could get another piece of paper and draw something on another piece of paper. It doesn't matter. You just have to get into the motion because like I hate talking about like I don't hate talking about it, but like when I talk about spiritual stuff, there's so many cynical people out there, and especially who watch me because I look like a cynical fuck. I sound like a cynical fuck. But when I start talking about like the spiritual nature of creation, a lot of people like kind of go, I'm not a spiritual person. I'm not into that. And you just get weird. But shut the fuck up and just listen. Once you start doing the thing and you just are going and going and going, it's almost like you are like like let's say you're a light bulb, okay, and the light bulb has to be made by like turning a crank, like the light that comes off of it. So as you're turning the crank and turning the crank and turning the crank, the light's like little and it's like and it gets brighter and brighter and brighter until it's really really bright and then it stays bright. Now if you're in the dark and you're outside and you have a little light that comes on like that, okay, pretty soon as that light gets bright, like all these moths are going to start coming to the light. All these bugs are going to start flying to the light. Once all these bugs start coming to the light, bats are going to come down, start swooping up to eat all the bugs. Spiders are going to come down to try to catch all the bugs. There's going to be all this action going around this light. So when you are just typing to type to start something and that light gets brighter and brighter and brighter, action will happen around that. As you're like drawing or painting, just putting marks down, as that light gets brighter, things start happening, action starts happening, and things will start like kind of flowing through you to where you're doing something. But you have to trust the process, and it's totally okay to not know what the fuck you're doing. Just start doing, and all of that other stuff just like starts falling into place. You just start being. You are creation at that point. You are the art. You know what I'm saying? But like so many of us have this thing like I have to know what I'm doing. Like I have to know all the answers. I have to shut up. Just do the thing and everything will happen. The dumber you are, the easier it is to like make things happen. Okay, so I'm behind on some comments here. Da, 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 da. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Uses every letter in the alphabet. Oh, wow, that's fun. So do you type that over and over again when you sit down to write? The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Wow. Let's see. There's a Z, there's a Q. God, that gets your pinkies going. That's some fun stuff. Let the blackness roll on was my silly thing to type. Let the blackness roll on. That's kind of cool. Sometimes when I write, I feel like I'm channeling. There you go. Yeah, and it's weird because like when we channel, it's not like how like you're in a seance and you're channeling a spirit, you know. All you're doing is channeling like inspiration, you're channeling the muse, you're channeling like ideas. Everything flows. It's a constant state of being. There's ideas around us just floating in the air all the time. And as you like create stuff, you catch those little things and they come in. What the hell is that? It comes in and it just pours out on your stuff. You just have to be like open to get that stuff. There's so many super fucking talented people I know who start so many projects and have never finished one. Like there's this guy I went to high school with. He was like my writing buddy. We would like read books together, and like this was before like I even understood like what a book club did. But like he would get a book, I would get a book. They weren't necessarily the same books, but then we would like hang out together and listen to music and chain smoke. And when we were done with the books, we would trade, and then I would read the book he just read, and he would read the book I just read. And then when we were done, like we would like spend the next like week just discussing those books while we were chain smoking and drinking coffee and then drinking whiskey. Good Lord. What a wild time. But he was the smartest guy I knew. And he was the guy who I thought had the most potential to do anything. And like he knew like story structure. Like when we would talk about a book, he would start explaining like the hero's journey and like what points did what and da 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 da. He understood everything. He knew everything. And then he would start writing a book. Like he would start working on something. and he would get like halfway through it and then he would just stop. He's like, I don't like it anymore. It's not fun. Like he would outline it and do all this stuff. And it just never, he never did anything. And I don't know what he's doing now. I He pops up, like he'll send me a message from time to time, like once every 5 years or something, just to like check in. And he's never done anything. And not that one has to do something to like be a great person or anything, but I always thought that he would be the one to do all of this stuff, and that maybe I would be the one, I don't know, working at Petco forever, But he I don't want to say he was too smart for his own good, but he was constantly worried about what people would think about his work. He constantly didn't think it was good. He's like, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough. Like I was writing this and I think it's good, but it's not like Vonnegut good, or it's not like Dostoevsky good. So I'm just not going to finish it. So many things he quit. And it just really bummed me out. And I don't know. So I know a lot of you out there run into this problem every once in a while where you might think that the stuff you're doing isn't as good as blank. But the thing is that doesn't fucking matter, because all you have to do is make the best thing that you know how to make. And that's it. And that thing, your voice, you're telling it in a way that only you can do. And there will be people who resonate with that. And you find that audience and you go. Some of you right there might be going, oh, yeah, I don't really like Vonnegut or Dostoevsky. So what the fuck does he care? It's exactly true. Like art is subjective. So nobody has to like anything. So why do we hold ourselves to these like, oh, the stuff I make isn't as good as blank? Because the funny thing is, and this happens with poetry, like especially my poetry, and my art, and even the music I made, like I always think like, oh, this is my best song, this is my best painting, this is my best poem. And when like I get feedback from readers or listeners or whatever, it's never the one I thought. It's never the one I thought. It's always some like, a lot of times with my poems, they're usually poems that I thought I wouldn't put in the thing, like that I was gonna like cut out of the deal. Hang on one second, guys. Um, but it's just weird how that works. But the poems especially, like if I put 20 poems in a book, like poems like 15 through 20 are poems that I was like, I don't know if I want those poems in there. I'll just put them in there. Sure as shit, somebody or like whoever's reading is like, oh man, I really love that poem. You know, that weird poem about the dog eating the ice cream cone? And I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't even going to put that poem in there, but this poem totally speaks, because we don't know. Once we make something, it's completely dead to us, and it has life with other people, not us. Like our job is fucking over. The conduit did its job, and that's it. Um, every painting I've sold are paintings that I was going to throw away or paint over, paintings that I didn't think were very good. The paintings that I think are awesome are the ones I still have. But all the ones that like were just like little like like throwaway things, or like um things that like I was working on and working on and working on and I just didn't love it. Um those are the ones that like fucking are gone, you know? Um Sounds beautiful. Okay, the rest maybe not as beautiful. Yeah. I get you. I get you on that. Um so yeah, so there was that. So hopefully that answers that question. The other question I got was with poetry. Are there poems, or is it okay? And this is so funny. As soon as you say, is it okay? Just know the answer is whatever the hell you want it to be. Like, you don't need permission to create any kind of art. You just do, just make. But the question was, is it okay to, like, if you wrote a poem that you don't like anymore, can you like take things out of it and use it in another poem? And I think the question was more, is it disingenuous to do something like that? Of course it's not. Do whatever you want. It's your poem, it's your lines. You can do whatever you want. I'm not a huge um, reviser. Like, I don't revise my poems a lot, but that doesn't mean that's how you guys have to do it. You know, like if there's like, I remember I was interviewing Matthew Buckley Smith on the old podcast, and he was talking about his book. Oh, what was it called? Oh, Dirge, something Dirge or something like that. Um, and I'm like, why did you call the book that? And he's like, well, honestly, it was a poem I was writing, and I really liked the poem, and it was a line from the poem. Or no, it was the title of the poem, and he wrote this poem, but he kept revising the fuck out of the poem and cutting lines out and cutting lines out until all that was left was the title. And so he liked the title so much, he just called the book that. But yeah, you can totally do that, you know? And then like with canvases too, like there are people who like paint something and they hate the painting, but then they don't want to paint something new on that canvas. Like, because of like whether the texture is like going to be weird, or if you're going to be able to see the old painting through the new painting or whatever. People for fucking since painting started paint over old canvases all the time. Picasso painted over a ton of canvases. You could like look up pictures of like x-rays or ultraviolet things, and you can see all the different paintings in a Picasso painting. Malvich on the Black Square, nobody realized this until the paint started cracking. But if you look at like those same kind of tests, there are many paintings underneath Black Square. It's just like, that's totally fine. You can do whatever you want. So don't worry about that. Okay, so what we're going to do right now, we're going to turn this into a members stream, and I'm going to give you some updates on the stuff I'm working on. And if you guys have any other questions, you could still ask. And if you haven't joined the crew, join down below. Join down below. Type hard if you don't. And we'll see you soon. Sunday for sure. So I don't know how to do this. Can I just start it now? Start. Oh, in 1 minute. We'll do that. Start in 1 minute. They're all channel members. There we go. Okay. So we have 57 seconds, guys. Oh, and I'm going to be doing a video on a art supply haul I did at the Home Depot. So if that's something that tickles your fancy, get ready for that, because that's going to be fun. Yeah, go to mattwallart.com and pick up my paintings, pick up my chapbooks. There are going to be quite a lot of changes on my website here very soon. And there's also going to be a lot of changes on the channel here as far as like memberships and stuff go. So yeah, so let's see. We have 10 seconds left now. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I hope this works. I think I've done this before and it works just fine. It should be fine. No big whoop. Let's see here.